We good?
Yeah, we're live.
Welcome, world. Chat to episode 4, season 2. We're here for the AngioSperm reproductive system. Part 2, I believe, of last time's chat show. So, just wanted to introduce everybody in the chat. In our panel.
Dirty's high as fuck right now, y'all. Dirty, what you been smoking, bro? I need some of that shit.
Right? I need some too, bro.
I need some of that shit. Dirty smoking, for real. Dirty came on like smooth operator, for real.
I ain't trying to fuck it up, even though I did, but everybody...
Vandross.
Introduce yourselves. I guess we're gonna start off with it. Everybody's weekly update. How everybody's garden been doing? So, Photon, how you been doing?
My garden is in week. Let's see. I started on 7, so I'm on day 20 of flower. Got all the males out. Ended up with 8 males out of the seeds I popped. And then my buddy gave me this strawberry cough alien OG cross, and I swear it's actually the Hulk re-embodied in a cannabis plant. That's one of the clones there on the right next to a Dutch treat. I don't know if I'm screen sharing or not, but oh yeah, I'm screen sharing, but I don't know if it's on me. But I mean, this plant was planted at the same time as this one, and it's twice as big as any other plant that was planted on the same day, and 3 times as big as most of them. And I got
that's everything that you got. That's the ones you posted in our chat, right? That you got in your IG too, as well, that you just posted?
Yeah, the one on the very left is that plant, yeah. That I just posted.
Yeah, and those are under your, what lights are those?
These are under the fusion boards. Fusion boards, and then I got a 500 watt wavy board fixture. And then I have 2 200 watt alternating wavy board sunboard fixtures. And then I have a 500 watt, no, I already said 500 watt wavy board fixture. And then I have a 200 watt BR29 fixture with 8 BRs on it.
You looking good over there, bro. Where's that Tahoe at?
Fucking monstrous. What's that? What'd you say?
You're breaking up, Photon.
I said, what'd you say?
He said, where's that Tahoe cookies at?
Oh, what's that? I fucking finally got rid of
breaking up, Photon. We're going to go ahead and go to Northside Doja.
Oh.
How's your garden been doing, sir?
Oh, it's going pretty well.
You're breaking up, bro. You broke up.
I think it might be yours. I'm not sure, but...
Can you hear me now?
I hear you, Doja. I hear you.
Yep, you're good, Doja.
You're gone again, bro.
All right. Yeah, it's going pretty well. I'm week 3 and flowering. I'm just going through and selecting my next strains for the next garden, and I got cookies and cream seeds from Exotic Genetics. Popped 2 packs of those. And those are coming along nice. I'm pretty excited about that. I'm hoping to get a good male out of that batch of seeds. And yeah, everything's going good.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So you said you just found us like some phenotype of like some plush plushberry alien rift shit, or like your homie found one?
Yeah. No, so I had the female and the male plants, and then my buddy had room.
How's your
with the alien rift plushberry cross?
I don't know what's up with Dirty. He's must be higher than fuck or something tonight.
But
yeah.
So yeah. Anyways, I had them. I just took a cutting of this male plant. It was the best looking male plant in veg. I didn't, flower it out or anything. I just guessed on it and hoped it was going to be good. And I bred that with.
Can y'all hear me? No?
My yep. I bred that with my my plushberry I had, and yeah, it turned out really good. I gave it to my buddy to. I was like, oh, here's the 2 cuts. Flower these out because he had extra tent. And so then he did, and then we collected the beans from it, and I got like I think 10 different phenos in flower right now, but they're only week 3. I got my eyes set on one that's looking really good, and he flowered some seeds out before I did, and he got 2 really good phenos. So I'm gonna get cuts of those from him, and yeah, it turned out I thought, I didn't really know how it was gonna turn out, so I was surprised when it turned out good.
Well, that's good to hear, bro. Hell yeah.
Yeah, like some beginner's luck shit for sure. Like I said, we didn't know. I didn't read nothing about breeding or anything. I was like, oh fuck it, just throw these 2 clones in here and they get big enough, just flower them next to each other and let's see what happens. And nice. So it turned out.
Yeah. Hello, guys. Can y'all hear me now? I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. No. Northside. That's what I was trying to tell you, man. That cross you did it looks awesome, bro.
Yeah, I can't wait to see when it gets finished up and cures out here. But yeah, like I said, I'm going to take a bunch of cuts and give it a shot in my garden, and we'll see how it goes.
Awesome. All right, so we'll go on to the OG Monster. How has everything been going over there in the lab, bro?
What's going down? Everything's going great. Everything's going great, man. Just popped a bunch of seeds a few days ago, So I got a video coming showing all of that stuff. Just popped a bunch of different genetics. On top of all of that, I started plucking some seeds out of my plants and my breeding plants and stuff. And the seeds that were coming out were just so mature, like every seed that I popped. So I cut a few sample buds off, and everything is looking on point. I mean, I'm still gonna give them a few weeks to make sure that the whole plant is mature. But the seeds that I have harvested, like the little sample buds, all the seeds look good. So I'm really excited about that, man. I'm really like a kid all over again. I know people are looking at me like, fuck is wrong with this guy? But you know what I'm saying? I don't care. I'm just relishing in the moment. You know what I'm saying? Like it's dope. It's dope.
Yeah.
You know and
so much potential, man, and what you could do, nothing but new toys to play with.
Yeah, most definitely. New toys, you know what I'm saying? New toys. And on top of the seeds, I just had some puppies a couple of weeks ago from Cajun and Kiko. And I've been waiting on those puppies for years, dog. Like Cajun is 7, he's 7, well, he'd be 7 this year coming up. You know what I'm saying? And I was starting to get a little nervous, like, you know what I'm saying? Is he sterile? You know what I mean? Is he going to be able to have puppies? Because I had him on another female, and she didn't get pregnant. And you know what I'm saying? Kiko was a puppy. She's turning 3 next month. So, you know, she was like not letting me like get on her or nothing like that. So he was just like in stalemate. It was no action for him for a long time. And finally, you know what I'm saying, he made it happen. So I'm geeked about that too. He got, you know what I'm saying, we got the puppies on the ground. You know what I'm saying? I'm geeked about that. Some real nice, fat, chunky, healthy puppies, some blues. You know what I'm saying? So I'm happy. I'm geeked. It's been a good couple of weeks. I ain't gonna lie. It's been a good couple of weeks. My son's getting older. He's saying dad now.
Nice, man.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? He been waking up in the morning saying dad.
Hell yeah. That's
It's
dope.
crazy. But yeah, bro, it's been a good week. Hope
New
everybody
life all
out there.
around you, bro.
Yeah, most definitely, man. I hope everybody out there in the chats had a good week. Glad to see you guys back. You know what I'm saying? That's it.
Hell yeah. Thank you, chat, for all the support and everything. Y'all always coming by every week, you know, showing us love. Thank y'all very much. And Mr.
Most
Perp,
definitely.
University. How you
Was
been doing, bro?
good. What up, y'all? What's cracking
up,
out
man?
there?
What up, Herb?
You know, just over here, growing them upper mids, living life. Doing well, though. Fucking, yeah, I want to give a big shout out to the chat. We had, I'm not sure if he's still in here, but Joshua Steensland, Palm Side Extracts, of course, holding it down. Shit, we got all kinds of fucking mods these days. Days. We got fucking, Liberator Triple X, Undercover Grower, Kind Dreams, Hard Work Cuz, shit, the homie Big Ed, all the homies up in here tonight for sure. But yeah, I'm doing all right, you guys, just chilling. About to pull down some of this indoor. I was trying to pull it down today, but you know how that shit goes. So I'm gonna try to work on it tomorrow. But yeah, I'm gonna pull that down. Got to reset the room. I'll put these cuts in there and probably veg them for a couple of weeks and flip them again.
What you cutting down, bro?
Yeah, I'm cutting down. Make a bunch of variety right now, or not a bunch, but a little variety. I got some Bewitched from Ocean Grown Seeds.
That looked nice.
Yeah, it's pretty frosty. I think it's like the F1 actually, so it's not the F2 or the BX, the BX1. So not as much cupcake in there, but it's still very sugary and frosty. You know, you got the hints of pineapple in there, as well as like a little bit of that G13 sugariness with some Kush undertones. I think there's like some, I forget what type of Kush is in there, Spartan or some shit like that. But so there's that. I got a Ninja Fruit mother in there as well, so that's about to come down. Real purpley, real grape smelling, so looks like a grape ape leaner. So that's kind of cool. We'll see how that ends up tasting. Hopefully pretty good. I got some Extreme OG. That's from Exotic Genetics. I got that cut from the homie 505 Love. If you follow him on IG, he's a cool homie. He's also he's a tester for Ocean Grown. So yeah, follow that guy. He's got some good content on IG, and he's the homie like fuck. What else do I got? I got some Bubba Kush, which is this cut that I've had from my Rasta homie for almost 10 years. It's been about 9 years now. But I've had this Bubba Kush cut.
Damn,
Some
that's a
fire.
keeper for sure, man. Hell
Yeah, I was almost thinking about letting it go last year, and then I had talked with a couple heads, and
kick
they were
yourself
like,
in the ass, bro.
yeah, they were like, why would you do that? They're all, don't fucking let it go. Like, what are you thinking? I'm like, yeah, you're right. I should probably keep it. At least make some S1s or something before I get rid of it. But
Hell yeah.
yeah, so there's that, and then some of these Gorilla Glue S1s coming down too that are pretty nice. Got a nice little color in them. So,
Just a couple. Just a couple.
Yeah, just a few. So nice variety. Still working through this outdoor from the season. Need to do something with the rest of it. Fucking move it or turn it into hash or something. But yeah, doing good. Fucking got the breeding tent going too. I'll try to post some pictures of that up. I've been slacking. I just have so much shit going on. It's crazy. Fucking house and grows at Rex. I haven't really been posting a lot of shit, but been meaning to get on it. But yeah, about to flip this breeding tent with the grapevine male. That's Grape Ape times Do-Si-Do from Archive. crossing that to my Bubba Kush, that clone I was just telling you about that I've had for like 10 years, along with a couple other strains, Extreme OG and Sour Headband Cookies, which is a strain that this other local grower basically created. But yeah. So yeah, doing good, man. Fucking got a lot of shit going on. Fucking staying busy, that's for damn sure. But yeah, doing well. Doing well.
Nice.
One thing
Yeah.
at a time. One
Yes,
thing at a
sir.
time.
That's what it is, man. He sounds like you're doing good over there, man. Back on track. I know you were having a little rough time a while back, but everything's back on track. Kicking ass. Well, now it's on to me. I mean, I've been working like crazy, man. Shit, busting ass, trying to keep up with life. And shit, the card has been beautiful. It's taking off like crazy. So both the tent and the new space. So fucking 4x4, 4x2. I mean, they're rocking, bro. I mean, the 4x2 is in flower already. Filling in, threw a jelly breath in there just to see what it's gonna do. I've been wanting to see it for myself. So we're gonna see what that does. We got it's scrogged, so it's scrogged out. So we'll see what it does this time for sure. We got the new space 4x4. It's kicking ass too. I mean, we got about maybe 14 ladies. So they're filling out the scrog as well. Give them probably the beginning of probably about another 2 weeks, just so we can pull a decent harvest off of that, and then we'll see. I mean, I never had none of these cuts before, so I mean, it's nothing but new shit to me. So it's banana breath, Loctite, about 3 different phenols of dark plasma, like 4 banana breath number 4s, which is the purple phenol, the homies. Some low potion 99s, about 3 of those. And a special cut from the homie Alamo Organic. Shout out to him, man. Some grape OG from Cali Connections. So we'll see what that does. Vigorous as hell. So we'll see what that does, man. I mean, I never had none of that shit. So we'll see what them new flavors do. And then it's KNF and cocoa organic. So I'm not feeding it any kind of salts, bottle nutrients. I think the only bottle nutrients I'm doing is Alaskan Fish 511, and then the worm castings, frass, which is not KNF, it's all bought. I didn't make that myself. And then what else am I feeding it? There's another bottle nutrient, seaweed, from Blue Planet, and bone meal. Now mixing all that up with the cocoa, with the KNF inputs, which are the OHNs. The only ones that I have right now are ginger and garlic. And then I'm doing all the other inputs, which are the FFE. All of these were done with dry, only sugar and the I guess you would say the herb or whatever. I didn't add any kind of juice or anything, and I fermentated them and everything.
Yeah, I always thought that was interesting because I'm not much for KNF and shit. My bad, I have a little feedback going here, but yeah, that subtle difference. I always thought like FFJ or FPJ. I thought that was synonymous, and I think in like some circles originally it is, but I obviously you could add like water, juice, or alcohol, and I guess technically make it a juice, whereas the extract is just using pure sugar.
Yes, sir.
Is that right, Dirty? Or
yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. And I think I think with the juice it kind of sucks, bro, because it's like you're like diluting it. You know what I'm saying? And like with the brown sugar, instead of it going bad or anything, it's just fucking making the shit more stronger and stronger and stronger, and you can just let it sit. Because I don't take my bananas out. I don't take my aloes out. I don't take my cucumbers out. I let it fermentate and juice for as long as it can with only brown sugar and about 5 mils of lab, and let them sit. And I mean, they've been sitting since my last place, and that was about 6 months ago. And they've been fermentating maybe 3 months prior to that. So they've been hanging around for a long time, and they haven't spoiled. No black mold, no white mold. Every time I stir it, it'll go fucking nuts about the overflow and shit, you know, depending on how full the jar is. But yeah, I mean, it's fucking live. And every time I feed the cocoa, it completely turns white at the top the next day with mycelia.
Yeah, I've been
It's crazy,
seeing
bro.
that. I'm really curious to see how that shit comes out, dude. It looks like you're doing a great job over there, and I'm sure that nug's gonna be top quality.
That shit looks crazy, bro. I'm tripping myself out. I was like, what the fuck? Is that okay? Is that gonna turn into like powdered mildew or some shit? You know, that it scares me sometimes because it gets kind of thick too, the little layer of mycelia, and it's like feeding on the bone meal and the earthworm and the castings and shit, bro. It's crazy. Like it builds up in like a little foam. You know what I'm saying? It'll spray it out. Pretty dope.
Hell yeah. That's what's up, bro. That's what's up. Definitely curious to see how that nug comes out, bro. You gotta send me some samples. Samples.
For sure. Everybody. We're gonna try this KNF. See what that does. Looks promising, man. The fucking plants are healthy. They don't burn at all either, man. They're like, geez, nice and pretty leaves and shit. Beautiful tomato plants. So enough of my rambling. What's up with you, Burp? With the go ahead, bro. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I'm just over here studying.
Do all that shit. I want some shit in a bottle. Give me some fucking salts that'll dissolve in the water. Fuck all that fermenting and shit. Got flies buzzing around and shit. Y'all niggas.
No, believe it or not, that shit kills all of that, bro. It kills like the no. Like I know you're just fucking around, but like I did not know that it like the bugs don't like that shit. It kills them. The gnats and shit. They do pop up when the gnats that pop up around when I water. The next couple of days they'll be fucking dead on the ground, like in the ground and shit. Cause I'll do the OHN floral spray, and I got that from Jaja. I think is 215. So shout outs to him. He said do like 3 millimeters of 1 millimeter or 3 millimeters, I forgot, but in a liter of water, spray can, and it's pretty good for your pests and shit. And powdered mildew and all that.
Yeah, I know like the traditional recommended dosage is like 1 to 1,000 parts, so something about 3 to 5 mils per gallon or something like that.
The shit's dope though. I wish I can explain it like you guys, but I think I like fucked my head up. I used to pop a lot of Xanax when I was younger. So yeah.
No, I feel you, bro.
We should have a whole future episode about OHN, FFJ, FPJ, OJJ, all of that.
OJ Simpson.
And I'm not. And I learned all of this shit from everybody that I follow and speak to, even you guys. You know, from fucking Blunt, you Perp, even Kosa, man. You know what I'm saying? Shit, he knew some shit. So. For sure, man. I mean, ain't no hate, you know, and none of that shit on the knowledge, because it is what it is.
Word. Yeah, I'm just about to light up this fucking spliff of some of this diagonal Kush.
Some
There you go.
diagonal Kush. Oh, that's the
Nice.
first time I heard a diamond Kush. Never heard a diagonal.
Right. Yeah, I've been getting it consistently. At least that's what they call it. Originally, I thought it was like had to be a triangle cross because I'm like, oh, diagonal. Triangle, right?
Yeah, triangle
Well,
too, right? I can't forget the triangle.
well,
Maybe they
apparently
just-
not. I don't know. According to the internet, which the you know how the internet is full of shit. So who knows exactly? Have to hunt down the fucking grower, which probably wouldn't be too hard. Or, I'm probably only like a step or so removed. So, but I don't know. According to the internet, it said it was like a fucking what the fuck did it say? It was like a Durban cross to something. I was like, what? I don't know, but it's flavor. What are you guys smoking?
Right now, I'm smoking blackberry Kush.
Nice.
I'm
I'm about to
smoking
roll
Alien
up.
Rift.
Oh, nice. Hell yeah. For real.
Dope.
You
What
smoking
about
regular?
fucking Photon?
Whole time.
Photon smoking Adderall?
Yeah, Photon, smoke dog.
Okay,
Photon, don't get mad, man. I wasn't trying to cut you off. Your fucking phone was messing up.
Hey,
Nah,
I think
yeah,
Xanax Kush should be a good name for a strain. I think a lot of people will buy that
Fuck
shit.
yeah. What? Me and Photon will be the first ones on that shit. Give me some of that.
Kush.
On what?
Xanax Kush. Xanax Kush, bro. And then you pop
I'll
the
be-
X afterwards, so you get that up and down feeling real good.
Just start naming strains after fucking pills and shit to give them replacements. Like, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Don't fucking do Oxycontin. Smoke some Oxycontin Kush.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oxycontin OG.
You feel me?
Call it the
Oxy OG.
hippie
Yeah,
flip
don't
OG.
sip promethazine. Sip promethazine OG. There you go.
I like the hippie flip OG.
Hippie flip OG. Hell yeah. You know.
And candy flip OG when you cross it with the Skittles.
He said Adderall, smoking Adderall.
You smoke Adderall? If that's the thing.
Yeah, you should. You might can.
I mean,
Who
I'm sure you
knows?
can. You could smoke fucking Tide package, but
Yeah, bro, just put it in the banger, the quartz banger.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's gotta have an evaporating point at some
Put a little
temperature.
solution in there.
Come on, Bert. Please smoke this Adderall.
Mhm.
For any doctors that are listening, I'm totally kidding.
So I guess tonight's show was what we were doing was about, how do you say it, Perp again? I don't know. I want to chop this up.
I guess we could call it part 2 of plant anatomy and physiology, angiosperm reproduction, generally, specifically in cannabis, obviously, since that's what we all grow and love to consume.
Yeah, and I guess I just want to kind of add in, like, the reason that we're kind of hitting on these topics is because we see like a lot of people starting to get into cannabis breeding and stuff like that. And you know what I'm saying? Like, I think it's a good time period to like touch on a few things relating to what a lot of people are doing in the community. Like, it's a lot of breeding and stuff like that. A lot of people playing with the plants in different ways that we haven't done before. You know what I'm saying? More so than just like training the plants and feeding the plants and stuff like that. So now we could kind of know about what we're doing more with the plant and, be able to put the terms to exactly what we're doing. Because I know for myself, I'm not really, I never went to school for like botany or biology or any of that type of stuff. So
Yeah, exactly. Me too. That's why I wanted to really. I was so mad the last two episodes because this damn Hangouts wouldn't let me get on, and I really wanted to hear what the fuck was going on. So, and I went back and I seen the videos, but still, I was like, I wanted to ask the questions that I wanted to ask, so it could fucking imprint.
Don't lie, you didn't go back and watch the videos.
I did.
Yeah. We need to find out about this stuff because you're right. I mean, it's all about making a healthier and more, I guess, stronger plant. You would say, I would say.
It's good to be informed. I mean, it's not crucial. It's not critical in any sense. You know what I mean? I mean, I remember when I first started growing weed when I was like 12 or 13, you know, it was became pretty obvious. You know, you read a little bit out of a book or whatever. I think I had originally got the Grower's Guide Deluxe Revised Edition by Mel Frank. My brother bought it for me because he maybe was 18. I don't know. But but yeah, I mean, it became pretty obvious, you know, like how you would make seeds. But it's always good to go over the minutia, I guess, or the technical aspects, just to be a little bit more informed, you know.
Yeah, you have to, man. I mean, you can't be just dumbfounded about something you do, and you know, you have to know how it's made. Just like when you're trying to make, even like with like humans, you know, when you're trying to produce something right, you can't just mix bullshit with bullshit and think you're gonna get something good, you know. I don't know. You play with dogs. I think that's a better example.
Right now, you're starting to have a little bit of a eugenics tone when
Right,
talking
that
about
sounds like some Hitler shit, nigga. That sound like some
Yeah,
Hitler
that's
shit.
what I was started thinking about. Like, hold on. Yeah, but that's that. Yeah, like with dogs and shit, you know, or chickens. You know, you're right. I mean, just the gene, I guess, you pass down, it makes it stronger and a lot more better or quality, I would say.
More better.
Yeah, and the thing about evolution, I think, like the Darwin quote, and I'm probably butchering it, definitely paraphrasing here, but it's something like, it's not the strongest or the smartest species who survives, but the species most adaptable or most willing to change. You know, so that's where a lot of, you know, our intelligence has got us pretty far, but that's where a lot of our success has come as a species evolutionarily, right? It's because we've been so plastic and willing to adapt to scenarios and environments.
Yeah, using tools,
posable thumbs.
Monkeys, they can use tools and shit, and orangutans and stuff, but like, you know, we were doing it 20,000 years before them.
Yeah, that's what me and Monster were just talking about on the chat. We did all of that, and you see how strong that made us. But now with all of this technology and shit that's coming out, is like making us a lot more dumbfounded. We're not on, you know, reading books anymore. We just hit Google, you know, instead of going to encyclopedias and reading reading out of there, finding the facts and shit, you know, doing the research, doing the book work, not just looking at pictures and, you know, looking at a picture and looking at the damn thing, pointing at what it is and learning like that. I mean, it's about how you doing it, Perk. You know, you're fucking going to school for that. You're really doing something with it. You're not just playing with it, you know. That's pretty dope, you know. Some dope shit.
That's what I like to tell myself.
That's why we got Purple heading off this topic tonight, guys.
That's right. So I guess I don't know if we want to dive into it or just dive right in.
Yeah.
Take over, bro. It's yours.
We got Perp was so kind enough to make us this beautiful slideshow with a bunch of pictures for all of us dumb folks. So I hope you guys can see this right now.
We need it.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a very good informative device. You know what I'm saying? Like, and if you didn't watch last week's show, after this video, make sure you go back and watch last week's show, because this is kind of like the follow up. So not last week's show, the week before last. Excuse me. Last week was just a hangout show. The week before last, we had the Plant Anatomy 101.
That's right. That's right.
Hell yeah. And I'm dyslexic, so this is how I learn. I have to look at either visually or physically. If not, it's not gonna stick. Or I got to repeat it a whole bunch of times, and then half of the time I'll probably
Yeah, I'm the same
remember
way.
it backwards.
I'm not an auditory learner at all. I have to either write it down or see it. But then I remember it for like forever.
Don't lie.
Ever, right?
We don't write down any of these conversations we had. That's why I won't remember.
So we got the screen up, Monster. Screen sharing.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. That's dope.
Alrighty, folks. Be your professor for the evening, Nuevo Purple, and I'm here to talk to you about angiosperm reproduction. So basically, there's two types of reproduction in plants as well as just in general. There's sexual and asexual reproduction, and specifically in plants, we'll be talking about vegetative and sexual reproduction. So I'm mostly going to focus on sexual reproduction because that's kind of the type of reproduction we're mostly familiar with. But I'll touch on vegetative real quick just to give you a brief overview. So vegetative reproduction is basically a type of asexual reproduction where new individuals are produced without the production of seeds or spores. And there's basically a few types of vegetative reproduction. There's budding, there's vegetative propagation, and there's fragmentation. So budding, I guess the classic example is like eyes on a potato. Like you cut up those eyes and you plant those eyes and they turn into individual plants. Vegetative propagation, rather. And I didn't really include any visuals for this, but we can always touch on it on another episode. Vegetative reproduction is basically where plants, grasses, other types of angiosperms, like strawberries, for example, they'll throw horizontal stems called stolons above the ground, and they'll basically burrow in the ground, produce roots, and produce new plants entirely. And then there's fragmentation, which is basically what we all know as cannabis growers, which is basically taking part of the plant that has a little bit of a shoot, apical meristem, and a stem. So basically a top and the stem, and planting that in some sort of medium until it grows lateral roots. But I guess for tonight, I'll mostly be talking about sexual reproduction. So sexual reproduction is basically the fusion of male and female sex cells that we call gametes. So that's some nomenclature for the night. Gamete equals sex cells. And these fusion of the sex cells form a single-celled zygote, which forms into an embryo and then eventually an individual plant. And this is basically, an angiosperms is an elaboration of what is referred to as alternation of generations, which is basically reproductive mechanisms of lower plants, vascular and spore plants. But so real quick, we're going to go over the sexual organs, because that's probably the most crucial, I feel like, in just knowing, like all the finer details are kind of whatever in terms of fertilization and whatnot, but knowing the nomenclature for flowering reproductive organs, I feel like can be just handy or crucial to know. So collectively, the female flower parts, collectively are referred to as the pistil or the carpel. Like I know we often will call, like with cannabis, we'll call like the pistils, or we'll call the stigma and style rather the pistil. But I want to say in actuality, it includes the ovary as well, which is basically within the deeper within the bud in cannabis. So collectively, the female flower parts are the pistil, and you have the stigma, style, and ovary. So the stigma, I like to think of as like the sticky landing pad, basically. So it's a projection off the flower that has basically a pad that sometimes has substances on it that will adhere pollen. And so there's the
So that would
stigma. Yeah, go on.
I'm sorry. So that would be like the little hairs on the pistils, right? On a female.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the hairs themselves. You could think of the ends of them as being the stigma, which is basically just where the pollen is going to first interact with the female part of the plant. And so the thing that the stigma sits on is called the style. And the style is basically just like a projection up from the ovary. I mean, probably not always, but I just think of it as like a little cylinder, some little cylindrical unit that connects the stigma to the ovary. And then you have the ovary, which basically is where all of your female reproductive cells are held. And so technically angiosperm basically just means flowering plant, and fruits themselves are only derived from flowering plants. And the technical definition of a fruit is basically just something that a seed that's basically enclosed by an outer layer, basically enclosed by the ovary, which we think of as a fruit. So collectively, your female parts, again, are referred to as the pistil or carpel. And then you have your male flower parts, which consist of your anther, the filament, and collectively we refer to that as the stamen. So the male and female parts are the anther and filament. The anther basically contains your pollen, or your male sex cells, male gametes. So yeah. If you want to go to the next slide, there's a picture right here of male and female part on the cannabis plant. So this is basically a monoecious plant that has both male and female parts or flowers on an individual plant.
That's a no-no, right?
Yeah, that's a big no-no. Obviously, we all know that. That will fuck up your shit right there. Classic,
Yeah.
what you would classically refer to as hermaphrodism, but it's technically a little bit different. But yeah, so I just wanted to show you guys the male and female flowers on the cannabis plant, so you could kind of distinguish. Obviously we got the pistils. That's a nice picture of a pistil with the with the ovary
pads.
enclosed by the calyx right there, with a bunch of glandular trichomes on it.
Nice.
And then what's up?
And those would be the pollen sacs, right?
And then yeah, so those are the male flowers. So basically where the pollen is going to come from. So that at that point you're pretty fucked if they're open like that, and you're not trying to make seeds. You're going to be accidentally making seeds.
Now, is that a healthy pollen sac, or would you want that to be different? Because I'm not too familiar with it, and I hear that a lot of guys say that, and girls, females out there in the world too, that say that you want them to be kind of like frosty, just like what a calyx would be sometimes, like a frosty calyx or some shit, in order for it to be a good keeper male. Is that true, or is that just...
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. So you're looking for resin content in a male or something, you're going to want to see some glandular trichome production or something like that if you're looking for frost out of the male, or certain coloration, like those flowers. those male flowers to be purple or showing purple traits or, you know, different things like that. As clustered, more clustered, or
I don't think a lot of people take a lot of attention to a male. You know, they usually just chop the fucker down because it's a good, you know, it's a good topic to, you know, to talk about. Because you know, I wouldn't know if that's a healthy nutsack or not. You know, is that good? Should I keep that? Should I throw that away? You know, so I'm just trying to see. You know, like I said,
So
people don't.
I don't have any like empirical evidence to support this, but like 2 weeks ago, I was informed by a breeder that you want to look for like strong. It's basically the same as humans. Like you don't want female traits, trichomes, you know, like in your male plants because you want masculine plants, as opposed to like feminine-ish plants, you know. What do you want?
Okay, cool. A strong, yeah, sturdy plant. Just like the damn males are always, you know, like a big ass stock and shit.
I could see
Yeah,
I could see in terms of the male like showing female traits, like as in like me, you know, like DJ Short. There's always like the DJ Short would look for a male that leaned more towards female traits, basically.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That
That's it.
that way.
Actually,
His hypothesis was basically that would encourage more I don't know, more female success basically in the progeny of the seeds or more female outcome. But then I've heard the reverse too, like a lot of breeders will disagree with that. I've heard like just listening to like that podcast or whatever shit like that. But in terms of trichome production, I would have to disagree because trichomes themselves are just protrusions from the epidermis. In this case, glandular trichomes that hold the secondary secondary metabolites, aka defense compounds like terpenes and other volatile compounds that are deterrents for pests. So I don't know that trichomes would basically would necessarily be a female trait, you know. But,
pretty dope.
But yeah, that's a good.
Fucking interesting, man.
Point.
The guy that told me that actually worked with JD Short, so that makes sense.
Oh, okay, yeah. I see what he's getting at then. Let's see. Get with me later, my bro. All right, Palm Side, I'll get at you, dog. I'll get at you, homie.
So what's the next one, boss?
All right.
On to the next one.
So back to the presentation. So yeah, summary of the plant reproductive organs. Collectively, the male parts we refer to as the andrecium. And that's basically just the collective stamen. The collective stamens that are on a plant, which are basically anther and filament. So I guess I might be losing people again. So anther filament are the basic male components, where the anther holds the pollen. The filament is basically the stalk that supports it. Collectively, those are called the stamen, and then collectively, all the stamen are called the andrecium. And then for female parts, we refer to all the female parts collectively, one or more carpels, as the gynecium. And again, all this technical nomenclature doesn't really mean shit, but
it's the proper terms, right? The proper terminology.
The proper nomenclature can be just useful, or in terms of at least the stigma style ovary, anther filament, you know, shit like that is, I think, pretty basic in terms of plant biology and nomenclature to know.
Yeah.
Especially if you're doing breeding, you might as well throw those terms around or at least be familiar with them. Yeah. So yeah, collectively, the stigma, style, and ovary are the female reproductive organs, and we refer to that as the pistil or the carpel. But Yeah, and then obviously we have other things on flowering plants, like you have petals, which are not sexual organs at all, but rather modified leaves that have, evolved to basically be attractive to certain pollen vectors, specifically pollinating animals. But yeah, so then moving on, pollination, basically, if we want to go into a little bit of physiology right now. Pollination occurs and is technically only when pollen touches down onto the stigma and sends a pollen tube after hydration down the stigma to the ovary. That technically is pollination, where fertilization is a term that's referred to basically the union of sex cells in forming a new embryo. So pollination occurs basically when male flowers are at a certain point in their maturation or maturity, they send out, they open up and they basically release pollen grains. And these pollen grains can be carried by different vectors via wind, animals, or water. The most common, I think, in angiosperms is that of animal pollination as well as wind pollination. With cannabis, I want to say that it's more of a wind pollinated plant, but possibly animal vectors can work as well to deliver pollen to other flowers. So pollen grains are immobile and basically are dehydrated, and that's basically to lower the mass of the cells so that they're able to be carried further away from their parent, so that there's less competition between genetically identical individuals, or semi-genetically related individuals, I guess I should say. So pollination, hopefully I'm not boring everyone. Who probably lost all viewers at this point.
No, because I was gonna say that means that you have to have like a pretty good environment in order to like make sure that damn pollen flies around right? Because it can't be too humid in there, or I would think it would stick to like your walls or whatever if you're doing it indoor, right?
I heard that if the pollen gets wet, it becomes inert.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Pollen is dehydrated, right? So that it lowers the mass of the cells so that they are able to be transported. But upon rehydration, we can move on to the next slide. Upon rehydration, basically, there's cells within the pollen tube, which we see here, a tube cell and generative cells. The tube cells basically, first the cell rehydrates and basically gains structure. And after that point, the tube cell basically germinates and forms a pollen tube. So that pollen tube travels down the stigma, or I guess through the style rather, down the stigma through the style and to the ovary, where it basically releases male gametes that fuse with other cells to form an embryo. But yeah, so there's two types of cells within the pollen grain themselves. We have a tube cell and a generative cell, and all kinds of other shit going on basically, but it's a basic layman's breakdown. Both of which these cells are basically haploid, which means that they only carry their genetic information in chromosome sets of 1, whereas we're a diploid species, meaning that we carry our genetic information in sets of 2 chromosomes. So if we want to go to the next slide, we basically have a nice little visual
so
here.
This would be like
some pollen. Go
that
on,
would be
Dirty.
like your the one before, that's like your embryo, right? Basically, like where your embryo would be or form, or no?
So the last slide, if you want to click back real quick, the last slide is the pollen the pollen grain itself. So this is basically where the male sex cells are going to be carried. So that generative cell right there in the slide, the generative cell,
Got you.
basically, yeah, basically undergoes a process called mitosis or cell division and forms two cells that are both haploid and basically are the male gametes themselves. So they're the male sex cells. And so those male sex cells will fuse with female sex cells and form an embryo upon fertilization. And that's the process of fertilization.
Okay, cool. I think I'm jumping the gun. That's why. All right.
No, you're cool. You're cool. Good question. So yeah, so the next slide is just a little visual of pollen grains under an electron microscope. I think that the one to the left is at 500 times magnification. And obviously has been rendered with color just to make it look cool. But I thought they were nice little visuals to give you a representation of how diverse pollen can be in their shapes and sizes.
And those are pollen grains, right?
Yeah, those are individual pollen grains.
I can't believe that's only 500 zoom.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I'm assuming that's like 5 probably times 10. So it's probably like 5,000.
Yeah, because I have a 2500 zoom microscope, and I can't get anything near that.
Right. Yeah,
But
so
it's
electron
also
microscope.
not a microscope, so
Yeah. So there's basically 2 types of pollination, and I'm sure that
That's
we could
crazy.
guess these. We have selfing and outcrossing. So selfing and outcrossing basically ties into plant sexual strategies, and there's different mechanisms that govern whether a plant will undergo self-pollination versus outcrossing. And those mechanisms include a variety of things, but a couple of them include timing. So it doesn't want to self, let's say, and wants to outcross. There's going to be different timing of the maturity of the male and female parts of the flower. So let's say that the stamen, the male parts, become mature faster, then they're going to throw pollen, while the female, the stigma, isn't receptive yet. Well, and there's different methods, including mechanisms, chemical mechanisms and such, to prevent selfing and to encourage outcrossing. But then obviously selfing can be a viable mechanism to ensure that you're going to pass on your genes to the next generation and produce viable offspring. But yeah, so selfing, obviously we have the process in cannabis of selfing where we S1s, S2s, etc., self-generation 1, 2, etc. So people will often use chemicals to induce sexual reversal in cannabis, and then use the newly formed male flowers to hit everything else, which technically isn't selfing, because selfing obviously refers to the individual plant seeding itself, which happens naturally. I mean, Gorilla Glue, certain strains, they'll throw those nanners, what we refer to as nanners, late in flower, and those themselves are actually hermaphroditic flowers. So they're basically a flower, because the cannabis plant, and I should have threw some images in here of this, but the cannabis plant, obviously each individual carpel, so each calyx is capable of having a seed in it, right? And so each calyx is, in a sense, its own flower. So there's so many.
You know what? I'm sorry for
go
cutting you off, but I think that every plant would do that if you let it go long enough, right? Or you stress the plant out enough.
Well, in terms of cannabis, possibly. I mean, obviously, not every plant is going to self-pollinate, but like I said, it's a good strategy to have, just in case. Like, some plants will self-pollinate in the event that they don't get pollinated or with pollen that was, from another individual. They don't get outcrossed.
Yeah,
So yeah.
That's a great evolutionary strategy.
Yeah, it's pretty
yeah.
brilliant because a lot of plants will self and outcross, so they have both mechanisms or capable of basically going between both mechanisms to ensure survival or passing on of the gene pool. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. Obviously, like selfing traditionally, like I said, is the flower itself seeding itself. So when a flower goes hermaphroditic or a plant goes hermaphroditic and throws that pollen at week 6 or whatever, and you let it sit there for another month and basically let the seeds develop, then yeah, you would have selfing. But that same concept's used obviously with like clones or whatever, because technically with the clone obviously is a type of vegetative reproduction where all individuals are the same genetically, right? They have the same genotypes. And so it technically is selfing, where they're reversing a plant and then using that plant's pollen to pollinate other female clones of the same genotype. So yeah, pretty interesting. Definitely want to play around with that in the future. A little bit of selfing and feminized crosses. But
can you explain like the difference between genotype and phenotype for those that don't understand?
okay. Yeah, so genotype refers to an individual organism's collective genetic information. So within a cell, general cell within the nucleus contains all of the genetic information. So all the nucleotides, the sequences of the letters A, C, T, and G, adenine, fucking cytosine, guanine, and thymine, and in the case of RNA, uracil for thymine. So these nucleotides, these molecules that contain a nitrogen and are ring structures, purines and pyridines, I think. Fuck, I'm forgetting my nomenclature over here. So much nomenclature in biology, it's easy to fucking get lost a little bit. But yeah, so basically a genotype refers to an individual's collective genetic information, where a phenotypes refer to an individual's traits, right? So how the genes are expressed and what traits occur refer to phenotype. So obviously we can have an organism like a clone that generally clones, right, they're all the same phenotype. That's why we get a clone. But then you have things like epigenetic changes that can cause changes in transcription, which can technically cause changes in phenotype, right, in some plants, which is basically what I've been studying.
So like diabetes, something that's in your bloodline down the line and shit in humans.
Well, diabetes is interesting because there's 2 types of diabetes, right? You have type 1 and type 2. So type 1, you're basically, I want to say, is more of a genetic related, right? It is actually has to do with different mechanisms than the type 2 in terms of insulin production in the pancreas or whatever. But type 1 we see in young kids, right? Where type 2 is usually onset and usually caused, in the first world by bad diet or whatever, right? Like I'm sitting here drinking soda right now. So
So it would be like that, right? Just to break it down,
essentially, environmental factors that can encourage different phenotypic traits, desirable or not. In the case of diabetes, environment and bad diet can encourage disease known as diabetes. But a little offset here.
On the other side of the same token, like if you have really good environment and nutrients and whatever, your phenotypes could actually improve because mutations are pretty much random, somewhat random.
Yeah,
And,
mutation itself is random, right? But it just so happens that certain mutations can be beneficial in certain environments, which is how they could be, become passed on if they're heritable traits.
But I just, what do you think about cloning clones of clones of clones? Because everybody always tells me that they degrade over time, and I say no, genetic mutations are random.
I've heard
And
that
so they could go good, or they could go bad, or they could stay the same.
My bad, I'm spacing out. What was your question?
So, like, people always talk for cloning clones of clones of clones.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And saying that the plant's going to degrade over time or lose genetic whatever.
Like vigor or something?
Yeah. And, if it does lose genetic vigor, I believe it's because some phenotypes some genes got expressed differently because of the environment, and any genetic drift, if you want to call it that, is random. So it could go either way. You could fucking come out with a great phenotype, or you could come out with a shit phenotype, just based on genetic drift. And people always dog other people for keeping clones of clones, but I see no difference in the DNA. You know what I mean? As long as you take clones from healthy mothers,
Right. So you're asking what my thoughts are on that?
Yeah.
So, interesting side note here, and it's really interesting when we're talking about cannabis, because I need to talk to a colleague of mine or a professor to see what his thoughts are on this. But basically, genetic drift refers to random noise or random variables that can occur within populations to encourage specific genotypes to proliferate. And I hope I'm not losing you in the nomenclature, because this is how biologists talk over here. But basically what I'm saying is that genetic drift, right? We think of genetic drift, is more of a random thing that happens on the stochastic scale of random and non-random variables. Genetic drift usually occurs and is referred to as something that happens within populations. Like, let's say a population of flowers in a meadow. I come along and I happen to trample over the middle of this fucking population of flowers. I just killed, randomly, I just walked over a few, or a cow walks over a few and kills X amount of the population. That itself is genetic drift, right? Because it was some random variable that occurred to influence the proliferation of certain genotypes, right, outside of selection itself. Whereas selection, refers to, certain constant environmental traits having to select for organisms that are better suited to survive and reproduce in those environments, right? But it's interesting because when we're talking about clones in cannabis, getting back to that, is that they're all the same genotype. So we could take a clone of a clone, and we're basically, like you were saying, Photon, we're talking about epigenetics at this point, right? So we're talking about how genes are being transcribed, whether or not a plant was in an undesirable environment, and that led to certain compounds attaching to the histones, which are basically or chromatin, or histones, which are proteins that are attached to DNA, which basically dictate whether or not genes are transcribed or not. So specifically, acetyl and methyl groups attached to histones will govern whether or not a certain gene will be transcribed or not. Because I want to say acetylation is unwinding of the histones. So if you have acetylation, I want to say, and don't quote me, I could be wrong here, but I'm just going off the dome here. Acetylation is going to cause unwinding of histones, which is going to allow transcription of those genes to occur. Whereas methylation does the opposite, I'm pretty sure. And there's probably other epigenetic things, regulation factors and things like that that are going on. But that's basically how epigenetics works, right? It's a transcription regulation due to environment. And so we're talking epigenetics when we're talking about clones of clones of clones. But then we're talking also, when we're talking clones, obviously we can take a bunch of clones. And what's interesting is they're all the same genotype, right? But now we have multiple individuals with the same genotype. So now we're literally talking about populations again, which is 2 or more organisms. So now we have a population of clones, which are all the same genotype, and are undergoing certain environmental pressures, which will dictate epigenetic factors, which will govern regulation of transcription of genes, which govern traits, right? How traits are going to be expressed, basically, when we're talking about transcription of genes. So that's what I'm talking about. So
let me cut you off.
Yeah, go on, Dirty.
So that's why it's so important to have a good environment when you're cloning them. Don't let them get too rough during the cloning, so they can continue.
Basically, and it's not.
Or no.
Yeah, go on.
Or no, I'm just saying. So that's important to have like a healthy clone all the way through, or.
I would say more so, and yeah, I'm sure the process of actually cloning too. Every little thing is going to affect epigenetics, right? Whether I'm drinking a soda right now or popping LSD or smoking this joint that I'm smoking is going to affect my epigenetics, which can be passed on to my progeny. Okay. Interesting enough.
So that's why it's so important. Yeah, so that's why it's so important to, again, what we're doing is learning about these what we're learning now, and finding how to properly, I guess would say pass on that quality gene.
Yeah, and so basically keeping healthy mothers, shit like that is key. But again, back to my point that I was saying, I have to talk to a professor or colleague, because we're talking populations with multiple clones. So we're talking epigenetics and we're talking genetic drift, right? So is it epigenetic drift? Is that technically a term? Can we coin that phrase? I know we've thrown that around before, but yeah, interesting side note. And I know that we're detracting obviously from the main subject of reproduction here, but yeah, it's really interesting to think about that type of stuff.
That's what I was trying to convey, was like, I guess what you call epigenetic drift would just be like small changes of time.
Yeah, small changes in the way genes are regulated.
Yeah. I like to point out too that this doesn't just go to plants, it goes to humans too. Like, if you're really unhealthy, obese, whatever, and have a baby, you can pass those traits on to your baby.
Yeah, man.
And that was my roommate's main field of study.
Was what?
Was epigenetics due to parents passing on, I guess, phenotypic expressions of genes to their kids due to their health at the time.
All right.
So trying to find the X gene.
If you
trying to find the X gene.
So if you get healthy after being unhealthy for a really long time, then you're most likely not going to pass on that shitty phenotypic expression of that gene. But if you're, really unhealthy while you're having a baby or whatever, you're much more likely to pass on that phenotypic expression of that gene.
Right. Undesirable epigenetic changes.
Yeah.
Totally. Kind of what I was studying. What I've been studying is the local adaptation versus phenotypic plasticity. in a specific species of brassica. But yeah, basically to do with epigenetics and how plants can be either locally adapted or have the same gene expression but still be differing in their phenotypes due to epigenetic regulation.
Like my kids, they all love candy. I mean, demolish candy, bro. And I have like I messed my teeth up when I was younger with candy. Like my shit's full of caps, not caps, but fillings from tearing up candy, and they got that bad, like eating candy. They can't see candy because they would like tear it up, bro. So I think, yeah, you're right about the genotypic and phenotypic. But very picky with what they eat. They won't eat what I eat. Whatever is sweet.
But yeah, if we want to get back to the presentation, I guess we could go over fertilization real quick and kind of wrap it up.
Yep.
So fertilization, as I was saying before, whereas pollination is where the pollen basically starts first interacting with female reproductive parts, the stigma and style. Fertilization occurs when that pollen tube is germinated and has basically led way to the female reproductive parts, the ovary, and those male and female cells fuse. So double fertilization is a term that specifically we refer to in angiosperms because it's a process that's specific to flowering plants. So this process occurs when two male sperm cells enter the female ovule through an opening referred to as the micropyle, and one male gamete fuses with an egg cell while the other male gamete or male sex cell fuses with two polar nuclei or two other cells that are the byproduct of mitosis of the original female sex cell. So the product of the sperm and egg fusion is what we refer to as the zygote, which zygote specifically is a term we refer to when an organism has reproduced, sex cells have fused and formed a diploid single-celled organism. And that's a zygote, technically, a diploid single-celled organism. And the embryo results from a zygote, which is basically the multicellular organism that in turn gives way to an individual, you, me, a plant, a lion, tigers, bears, lilies, jackrabbits, cactuses, mushrooms, etc. Well, not mushrooms, but but yeah, I guess technically mushrooms too, because they start out as zygotes as well, but just not under the same process of fertilization, obviously. So the product of the sperm fusion with polar nuclei, which again are like these cells that are the byproduct of female cell mitosis or cell division, results in a tissue that we refer to as the endosperm, which is a nutritive tissue that helps support the embryo as it develops in the seed itself. And there was a little hyperlink there, but I don't know, the YouTube video might lag out while we're on YouTube, and I'm not sure how that'll go with playing a YouTube video while we're on YouTube, if we'll get flagged or not, so we probably won't play that. But the next slide basically has the process of double fertilization for you to see, which is helpful. So originally we have pollination, right? So at the top of the first part here, on the left, at the very top, you have the pollen grain, and that had landed on the stigma. That became rehydrated. And of course, I could go into specifics of pollination, but it would be very boring. But basically, rehydration of the pollen is crucial for the cell to become viable, and that tube cell to form this new protruding thing that we call the pollen tube, which travels down and delivers the male sex cells to the area where the female sex cells are located. And so when that happens, fertilization occurs. Like I said, fusion with the egg cell results in an embryo here to the right in the middle. And then fusion of on the right here, basically on the top. Oh, if you want to go back. Right at the top, that's the fusion of the second male sex cell or gamete fused with the two polar nuclei and forms a triploid endosperm. And that's basically the process for double fertilization, which is unique to flowering plants specifically. Before that, basically male sex cells would swim to female sex cells, like in gymnosperms and your plants like that. But yeah, it's pretty unique
crazy,
to them.
man. Hell yeah.
So the last slide we have here is basically the whole process going on, and this is an elaboration again of what's referred to as alternation of generations. And so that's basically just the reproductive cycle going on, you know. And yeah, we could get into more specifics because there's a bunch of shit there, but I don't want to totally bore you guys. But that about wraps it up there. If
The
you
whole
want
life
to go over
cycle
a
right
summary,
there, basically,
yeah, that
right?
wraps up the life cycle, yeah, of a plant. So what's going on in these things here is basically what I've been telling you guys the whole time. Fusion of male and female sex cells to form an individual seed. That seed ends up germinating and resulting in an individual plant, and the cycle starts over.
So the one to the right is pretty, like, a little more simpler for me, because the one on the right, the little yellow one, is the male, right? And then the little green one over here would be the female. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So the green part on the left is the ovary, and the part on the right with the little flower is the male flower, which has the pollen in it, and the male sex cells. That's exactly right, Dirty.
Cool. And all it's doing is just coming down, and once they basically just like humans, bro, and everything else, like you said, is just the same life cycle.
Yeah,
The
that's
X,
interesting.
Plant builder said plant porn.
hell
Plant
yeah,
porn,
I mean,
yeah.
the X and Y trait
Fusion
mixing
of
up
sex
together.
chromosomes.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, fusion of sex cells, which carry the six chromosomes, and
No, that was dope, man. That was dope. So that was the whole thing. Summary of angiosperm, two types. Basically,
so yeah, the
Yeah.
summary in part.
Right. Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, two types of reproduction, exactly, Monster. Summary of it is two types of reproduction: asexual and sexual, vegetative and sexual in plants. We have reproductive organs, again, which are the stamen, male parts collectively, and the pistil, female parts collectively. And then pollination, the process of the pollen landing on the stigma and germinating a tube that travels down the style to the ovary. Fertilization, where the sex cells fuse and form a zygote and an embryo, and then the
Which would be
continuation.
the female's wound.
Yeah,
Dope, man. New life. That's crazy.
new life, finito. Thank you.
Hell yeah.
I got my references at the end, a couple. It's like 2 or 3 references. Well, yeah,
Now,
thank you.
I feel like this was needed, man. Like somebody said in the chat, some kind of advanced stuff, but I feel like, what I'm saying, the basic and like that basic stuff, it's like redundant. Like it's so much of that out there. There's nobody. I know it, like some people might be like, oh, this is boring, but like, bro, like you don't understand. I'm sitting here biting my nails, like tuned in the whole time, like locking this
Yeah.
information in. You know what I'm saying? Like,
That's
how
what I'm
you're
saying.
like
Like,
watching a good ass movie and just sitting there biting your nails and shit. Like, Yeah. You
Hell
know,
yeah,
I
go
think it
for it.
was needed for sure that we went over some of this stuff and continue to elaborate on, more topics like this. Dope perk.
And you
Good
got to
job,
keep
bro.
pressing that subject because, like you said, people would get bored, bro. I mean, they get bored, but you have to. I mean, in order to know something, excuse me, you have to learn it, and you have to like really do your research and like I guess fucking do the work, do the hard shit, just like you're doing, bro. I mean, we're just looking at the pictures, but you're really like in the shit. Like I said at the beginning, you're really taking heed
Yeah,
to it.
thanks, man. It ain't no thing. I don't know. Shit's just been drilled into my head from fucking years of fucking biology classes. Same old shit, alternation of generations and
Your
production of
mom,
gametes. And yeah, your mom was a reference there. Not
yeah.
Loki's mom. Everyone else's mom, but not Loki's mom. Get that straight. Because he'd kill me, boy. But yeah. Go home, learn about the mega and micro sporangia and microgametophytes and
That was dope, man. Is
shit
there
like
any
that.
questions in the chat? I was meaning to ask that, but I didn't want to interrupt Perk. But I think now is a good time to, if anybody's got any questions for the Perk.
Hell yeah. Thank you for sticking around, chat.
I think
Awesome
people are
show.
loving it.
Yes, whoever's listening, thanks for sticking with me over here. I know that's tough to pay attention. I know I can draw on, but yeah, thank you for listening to my little PowerPoint there. Took me a few hours to put together because I was high.
No,
Yo, real
it's
quick,
always
I
the
just
best
want to
shit when
throw a
you're high.
couple shout outs out there real quick. The first guy I wanted to shout out is someone that should have a lot more followers than he has. Cali Medical Grower. I've been following his channel for a couple of months now, and I've watched his videos and make some really good videos, good content, and you guys should definitely check his channel out. Make sure you guys go sub up to him, Cali Medical Grower. And my second shout out is to Venom Grower. Venom Grower, it took a break from YouTube, and now he's back. He just uploaded a new update last week, and it was a dope video. And I'm glad to see Venom Grower back on the tube. So go check Venom Grower's new video out.
Hell yeah. Shout outs to Venom Grower. I know he
But
came
shout
through
out to,
on my IG.
I'm sorry, Derek, I didn't mean to cut you off, brother.
No, go ahead. Go ahead,
No,
bro.
I just was about to say shout out to the whole chat again for sticking through this topic because I know it was a thick one, but definitely much needed. I felt like you guys would enjoy it because I know I enjoyed
Hell
it.
yeah. We need it.
And
We need the
I seen a
knowledge,
lot of
that
the
hard
chat,
knowledge.
man. They knew what was going on. Like I was reading the comments, and a lot of people was dropping hella knowledge in the comments. Like Cali Medical Grower, he was one of them. It was a few, man. It was a few. I gotta go back up through to kind of read through it again, but definitely shout out to the chat, um, for engaging.
Yeah. Fucking American one says the pollen tube grows on its own. What triggers that? No, it doesn't grow on its own. It's basically rehydration. So when it comes in contact with the stigma, the cell rehydrates and basically activates. So there's 3 stages: hydration, activation, and pollen tube emergence. And that's all dictated by whether or not the different mechanisms, whether or not the plant recognizes the pollen, etc. So, but yeah, it basically has to hydrate the cell so that it can gain structure, and then it can form this tube that it basically is weird, like this weird projection, almost germination of a tube that we refer to as a pollen tube, where the sex cells travel through. But yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah. Thank you guys. Thanks. Appreciate
Hell
you guys
yeah.
listening to my spiel. What up, Loke?
Dope.
Looking forward to more of it, dog.
Yes, sir. Hell of a show, guys. Thank you, chat, very much. I guess we could just shoot the shit now, or we ready to cut off. I mean, it's up to you guys. I ain't doing shit. Smoking.
Well, I just want to say,
There's my man.
thanks, Perp, for putting that whole thing together. He said spent 2 hours of your time, and appreciate that for sure.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, no problem. Fucking thank you guys for listening. And yeah, the American one, yeah, that's what kills it when you wet it. That's why, like, they say spraying down your room and wiping shit down causes the pollen to become not viable after it starts to germinate or whatever, and it's not in contact with the female parts.
Oh, good.
Cool.
Yeah,
That's all. That's something
I
very
was gonna
important,
ask,
I think.
like, when do you harvest pollen? Like, I've never popped seeds really before. I've always cloned. So, like, if I had male, like, when would I collect the pollen, or how do I collect the pollen? I guess I'll just do this after the show.
So pollen, obviously, if the male flowers have opened, pollen is coming out of them, then that pollen is viable, mature. So I mean, at any point in which obviously there's going to have different timing. If anyone's ever grown a male out, you notice that the flowers occur at different times, and that's to encourage different outcrossing and shit like that. But so yeah, at any point basically when the male is at full maturity and throwing pollen, or even about to throw pollen, I know like male Frank back in the day used to say, like, right before your flowers are about to open, to cut your fucking your male, and to like hang it upside down, like over a tarp, or like a bunch of fucking parchment paper or something like that, and then let the male flowers open up and drop all the pollen onto there.
Okay.
But yeah, I know like BluntThumb was talking about a similar method where he had let his male go and seed whatever crop he had, and then he cut it at a certain point when probably around the point a lot of people kill their males anyway, like Vader or whatever, when most of this primary pollination has occurred, and you're kind of wanting to wrap up development around like 4 weeks or whatever, after 5 weeks, 7 weeks, 8 weeks, I don't know, whatever the fuck. But yeah, so just whenever the male is spitting pollen, I don't know, take it into a room, and like, I forget what BluntThumb was saying he was doing, but just basically collecting it, like I was saying, on like top of like a parchment paper or something.
Yeah, I've got mine sealed off. But I'm only on week, like, I'm on day 20 right now, and it seems like my pollen sacs are like starting to open.
Oh yeah, and then Sid Avery has a point. I've heard of that, like cutting it with flour to keep it dry, but you got to make sure that flour doesn't have any water in it. So I don't know if there's like such thing as anhydrous flour, but but yeah.
Well, the air isn't anhydrous, so
yeah, that's the thing you got to watch out for. Put some desiccant packs in there too, or something.
like keeping a male outside would render the pollen useless if it rained, hypothetically.
Yeah, totally.
Like all of them, even if they haven't opened yet.
Well, no, if they haven't opened, then again, I mean, that's how plants work, right? Different timing of flowers. They're not gonna put all your eggs in one basket usually, open all at the same time. Like, we're gonna stagger the timing.
Okay.
Like, I had a male in my backyard this summer, and yeah, it went through a couple rainstorms during when it was pollinating the females, and there was still flowers that hadn't opened, male flowers, and kind of kept going,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I think that was around the time I cut it down, though, but.
'Cause I got a couple males I definitely want to save. I got crunch berries from Exotic Genetics, and I got a male of that. I really want to save it.
When I flowered mine out, my male alien rift to that plush berry, once it started dropping pollen, I let it go, or whatever, for about 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then I just quit watering it, so it just died, So then that way there was no more pollen, and when I had to go in and work on the plant, or like the garden and stuff, when it was dropping pollen, I sprayed water in there over all the plants and stuff, so that way if no pollen would escape out of the tent, because I figured putting the spraying them down with like water, like one of those little like 1 gallon like pump spray things, it didn't really seem to hurt it at all. And like, yeah, all the pollen got wet, but the male plants like continuously drop pollen. So by the time the water was dried up, it dropped more pollen again. But yeah, that seemed to work pretty good. Using that to my advantage, the water.
I think that would like soak up more pollen, right? Like in places that it wouldn't reach, maybe, or stuff like that.
Well, it's just like, I unzipped the tent and just sprayed in there, and before I started like rustling the plants around and stuff, and then there wasn't like any like plumes of pollen going out into the air when I did that.
Yeah, no, I was just saying, like, I think it would like be like you said. I think you could use the water to your advantage as far as when you close it back up, and the next time the male pops open one of those pollen sacs, would that be a good method of collecting the pollen on the female, or would that be a no-go?
No, I think that
okay, right?
the sacs will, because it's like once it starts, it's not like all of the sacs just burst open at once. When the male flower is pollinating. So, I mean, there's some that are open. They probably, won't let any more pollen out after they got sprayed with water. But there's new sacs that open every day. That's why I also killed it off early, because, I didn't want the plant to keep trying to make new seed. I wanted it to finish making the seed it already had.
Oh, okay, cool. Pretty dope, man.
That's definitely a different experience, the males. I never grew, one out completely till finish like that before, so.
Tony B says your accent north side makes him smile.
Yeah.
Plant Builder says it's better than a jerky boy.
Yeah, guys, good show, man. Good show. You guys got want to touch on anything else tonight, or you guys want to wrap it up?
Let's wrap it up, fellas. Shout outs to the chat.
Shout out to the chat. Love you guys, man. Without you guys, for real shit, man, shout out to the chat for sure. Shout out to the whole Trichome Taster crew.
Right? Fuck yeah. All the homies that aren't here. Wavy, Handz,
Kush,
DWC. The Shy Guy, DWC Kush. I think he's listening.
Captain, he's I think he's going to the Indo Expo.
On the Trichome Chaser.
Or he's there. Hell yeah. So
yeah, shout out to Captain Kindbud. He's at the Indo Expo out in Denver right now. Hopefully he made it there safely, man.
Yeah, he was jammed up in traffic and shit. So
yeah. Shout out to Palmside Extracts for holding it down. Tricky D, 420 Resistance Live. Shout outs to those guys.
Hell yeah! Shout out to y'all guys, man. Thank y'all for the support.
Tricky D.
Yo, I know they were at the expo. It looks like having a little expo after shish.
Little powwow. That's what's up.
But
Well, yeah, make sure you guys check out the website. Drop us a line on the website. Let us know how you guys week been. You know, drop us a picture of your latest harvest, the latest the latest bud you smoking on, the latest pack of seeds you picking up. You know what I'm saying? Come and talk to us on the website. That's where we're at all week.
oh yeah. Speaking of which, I have a pack of Odin from North Genetics that I want to give away. So be on the lookout for that. I'll post it on IG. But yeah, you guys just like sub up or some shit, and then sign up to the forum. Post a picture in the forum.
Oh
And
shit!
yeah,
Hell yeah, that's dope.
we'll give that away like next week or the week after that or something. So
Man,
shout
speaking
out.
of giveaways, fucking Florida's finest. If you're listening, you gotta hit me with a message. No, you haven't. No one's messaged me on the Ninja Fruit giveaway yet on the mailing address.
Come on, bro. Send your address. It's
Yeah.
gonna re-go.
We'll have to do that again.
Yeah.
Have to re-give that away again too.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I mean, I don't know what would be the appropriate amount of time to wait. I messaged them and told them to hit me up either on Instagram or in the forum, and nothing. And I tried to look up Florida's Finest on Instagram, and it's like a common name. There's like 1,000 people named, or not 1,000, but like 20, and so.
Well.
Yeah, I mean,
So
I mean, he says you back. Shit.
I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, how long do you think I should wait?
Monday, redo.
Maybe I'll give it
some shit. Give it a few more days or something. But yeah, Rick Green says he'll send his address. Tony B said he would too.
Right?
Hell yeah, shit. That's a free pack, a brand new pack of motherfucking Ninja Fruit in the real cover. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah, in the breeder's pack.
Yeah.
Oh man, Plant Builder says maybe he thought Ninja Fruit was gay.
Oh god. Hell yeah, man. Shit. Shout out to North Genetics, man. They have some fire going on over there. I know I got a pack of Mr. Cruz and Stardust, is it? I don't want to chop that shit up. Space Dust. Space Dust. So I know I seen some Space Dust grown by I believe it was I think it was what's the damn, I forgot his name. He's always on Northside J. Northside what is it? Northwest J. Northwest J. Yeah, I'm so high. I'm sorry.
Yeah, shout outs to Northwest J. He's the homie.
Yeah, he's the homie, man. I love how he grows his plants out. Just lets them do their own thing to show their like full potential, what they really are. It's pretty dope. I don't think he tops or anything. He just lets it go, from what it looks like, because it's always that one cola, growing up, and then the ones coming up on the side. Like on the old school High Times. That's what it reminds me of. But they look so fucking dank, though. Pretty cool.
Yeah, he kills it.
Yeah, he does. Fucking fades them out pretty dope, too. HBS, too, man. He fucking rocks the HBS all the way. So, I think you're on to something, Perp.
I'm onto something. I'm onto the old Steez.
Old school, yeah. Hell yeah. I mean, that brings it does it, bro. It really does.
It's the job done. Then you're broke.
Then you're broke.
Fucking stoned over here.
Yeah, what's up with you, Monster? You want to talk about the Steez you got going on? You got some seeds, like you're saying, almost done?
Hell yeah, that boy got that
What's it
lab
called?
going.
The shit in the breeding tent?
Yeah. What strains you got?
So I used animal mince male. Not animal cookies. I know a couple people thought I said animal cookies. Not animal cookies. Animal mince. Animal mince is a strain made by Seed Junkies, and it's the strain that they found the wedding cake pheno out of. Basically.
Oh man.
Yeah, dog. Yeah, that real wedding cake. That's where they found the wedding cake out of. And then I got it. I hit it. I hit that male on top of blue cookies, a sunset sherbet, a garlic breath. Garlic breath is from Bred Genetix. That's the GMO cross to the Mendo breath, and it's a really GMO dominant one. What you was about to say, bro?
Oh, I just said, whew. Sounds like heat.
Heat, bro. Yeah, heat. That real GMO leaner is super fucking tall, bro. Like the plant is so tall, the top bud is like touching the top of the tent and bent down and shit. It's crazy. Like it's real GMO. And then in another tent, I put a Gelato 33, Purple Starburst, which is Starburst OG cross the Purple Punch, Poontang Pie, which is Grape Pie cross to Tropicana Cookies. Then they cross that to Papaya.
Oh, dog. You gotta give me a cut of that. I want that.
Yeah.
You feel me,
Did you
bro?
hear that shit? Damn, that's
On
a
top of
cocktail.
the animal mints, though, bro.
Damn.
Like, oh my
Man.
god, oh, it's gonna be like, oh my god, bro.
Yeah.
So, and then I threw it on top of the gelato cake. Gelato cake is wedding cake across the Gelato 33. So I'm pretty sure that by hitting it with the animal mints, because animal mints is like the parent of the wedding cake. So that shit is like really wedding cake dominant. So you know what I'm saying? It's got a little bit of Gelato 33 in it. You feel me? It's like, you know, we'll see what comes out of that. But you know, I really just did it just to see, you know, I had space in the tent. But the cut of gelato cake that I used, bro, oh my god, it smells like vanilla, like straight up vanilla, like cake, bro. Like, you know, you pull, like, you know, that yellow cake when you pull it out the oven, you about to throw the chocolate icing on it. You know, you use the yellow cake and the chocolate icing.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it smells just like that shit, bro. Oh man. So and yeah, bro. I'm so excited.
That's dope, bro.
Well, I'll take
share
one
them
of
with
each.
everybody. Yeah, most definitely. I'm excited to share them with everybody. That's what I'm really excited about. I'm really excited to share them with people, man. Cause
I'm first. Just kidding.
Me first. Like Juicy J on what's
no, I got like about 20 packages that's going all out at the same time.
Mine's first.
But yeah, man. You know what I'm saying? I put a lot of sweat and a lot of bread and a lot of fucking
Time.
being first in line, yeah, type shit into the
bro. Because I couldn't believe that. I couldn't believe that you didn't. You know, you went the clone and the bean route before the flower, and you got your tables and everything and your room set up and every fucking thing. So I was like, damn, what's up? So that's a lot of work, man. That's a lot of work. You're dedicated to trying to get it done, bro. I feel that. Respect.
Yeah, bro. I'm making it happen. I said I was going to do it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm doing it. So the flower room is done, though. I'm just waiting for these. I got a whole run of Poontang Pie about to go in the flower as soon as these motherfuckers veg up. They're a little slow in veg. They're a little slow in veg. You know what I'm saying? And they're like more bushy. I like plants that really kind of grow up and tall, like OG structure, and like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
that's why
I feel you. Me too.
You know what I mean? Yeah, bro. I hate plants that just like
the homie.
Bro, I haven't topped not one of these plants, and they all look like they've been topped just because that's how the plant grows. Like the fucking undershoots, they grow out, they come out, they come up. You know what I'm saying? And it just takes time.
I seen what that dark plasma bro does that. She'll fucking shoot up from the bottom like crazy. Straight up.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone's grown the Skywalker but this cut I have that's supposedly Skywalker has been growing like that, kind of slow, but like, and it's weird because it is an OG, right? Supposedly, so you'd think it would have that nice OG
I have
lanky growth structure, but
shot.
it seems like it's weird, kind of slow and bushy.
I got a Skywalker OG and Digital Dream from Reed's Buds. Shout out to him. He's from Mass Roots. He shot me a pack of that. I think I have some of that and another cross he made, which was Digital Dream and something else. So I'm not sure what the lineage is on either one of them, but I know, like you said, Skywalker OG's always been like a good strain, I guess. Pretty good. Cool.
Yeah, the real Skywalker OG is fire. By your Loki Gro says he's trying to find a cherry pie clone. Yeah, me too, dog. Let me know if you do. Hit me up, son. Holla at your boy.
Dirty, you said you got like 3 phenos of dark plasma.
I might be lying. I think it's like 4.
I got 2 packs, but I don't know if I should pop them or not. Just try and get fucking clones from you.
Yeah, hell yeah. No worries. You don't have to pop them.
Have you grown out before? Did you like that strain?
The homie did, and boy, he had like 9 different strains of the shit, and every single one of them was fire. He's not a heavy smoker. Yeah, he's not a heavy smoker, bro. But me and my chick, bro, you know what I'm saying? We pound, and they're like legit. I mean, everything was gassy, agent, like cleaning agent smells, OG smells. Maybe one was cushy, but everything else was fucking.
Was there
gas.
some purple phenos?
Yeah, the stems stay purple. The leaves fucking fade out black.
Oh, nice. Dope. Yeah, I was looking for like a black leaf one.
Yeah, they got definitely that cookie in them, that Girl Scout. Yeah, they're fire, bro. And the bud always ends up that color too, that like that dark tan purplish color, that tone, like that pretty. It's fucking pretty, bro.
Yo,
nice.
Florida's finest is in the chat. Yeah.
Is he?
Who won the ninja fruit? Yeah, he just said something. He said, I got sour bomb strain that reaches for the sky, literally doubles in size and flower. Hey, Florida's finest, you won the ninja fruit giveaway, bro. Why didn't you hit up fucking Northside, bro?
Yeah, hit me up in the forums.
You need your beans, man. Ninja fruit.
Wait, I just saw his name in the chat. I was like, what? Is that fool won the ninja fruit?
Hell yeah, shit. I never had no ninja fruit, so I could shoot my address as well over there. How did you cut? You said you're about to chop your shit down, right? Perp?
Yeah. I've just been finishing it off. I was supposed to start this weekend, but I should maybe start doing that tomorrow. Yeah, Florida's finest, bro. I can't believe you didn't know, dude. You gotta watch the show, pay attention, check the forum or something.
I'm not looking at the chat. Is he responding?
Yeah, he said he had no idea. That's awesome.
Yeah, I forgot it was like his number was like 529 or I don't remember, something like that.
Yeah, that's dope. Yep, and be in the chat.
Yeah, good looking out that you said something.
Hell yeah. Winner, chicken dinner.
Well, yeah, my guys, it was a good show. It was a good show. Would you say we wrap this one up?
Yeah, let's wrap it up.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming through. Salute to everybody. Ooh, excuse me. Hold smoke went down the wrong. Ooh, shit.
I've heard of water going down the wrong hole, but smoke?
Smoke. I just hit the blunt to try to talk.
You're trying to eat the smoke?
Whoa. Yeah. Okay. Well, on that note, much love and respect. See you guys next week. Check us out on the website, trichomechasers.tv.
Hell yeah.
Peace.